I'm Robinson, 75 years old. I woke up this morning before the sun, like I usually do now, and the house was quiet in a way that feels permanent. That kind of quiet makes you honest. It leaves you alone with the parts of your life you kept putting off. I've been thinking a lot about how I spent 55 years chasing success and how, somewhere along the way, I failed at being present. Not in one big, dramatic way, just slowly, patiently, day by day. I'm not telling this because I want forgiveness. Most of the people I'd want it from aren't here to give it. I'm telling it because I'm running out of time to tell the truth, and because someone listening might still have time left. At 75, time feels different. It doesn't stretch anymore. It closes in. You stop thinking in years and start thinking in mornings, in how many more times you'll sit at the table with your coffee, in how many phone calls might still come or might not. I used to think success would make me feel secure, like if I just did enough, earned enough, proved enough, I could finally relax. I told myself I was doing it for my family. I believed that. I really did. When I was young, in my 20s, everything felt urgent. I had energy then. I had plans. I had this quiet fear that if I didn't move fast enough, I'd fall behind and never catch up. So I said yes to overtime, yes to promotions, yes to late nights and early mornings. I didn't see it as a sacrifice. I saw it as responsibility. I remember my first real job after I got married. Nothing glamorous. Long hours, small office, fluorescent lights that buzzed faintly all day. I'd come home tired but proud. I'd tell my wife about my day, or at least I thought I did. Looking back, I mostly talked at her, about numbers, about problems, about what I was building. She listened. She always listened. We had kids not long after that. I remember holding my first child and feeling terrified in a way I'd never felt before. I promised myself I'd give them a better life than I had. That promise became my excuse for almost everything that followed. When they were small, they'd wait by the door for me sometimes. I'd hear about it later. I was usually late. Meetings ran long, traffic was bad. There was always a reason that sounded reasonable. I missed dinners. Not every night, just enough that it became normal. I told myself I'd make it up on the weekends, but weekends had errands, projects, emails I needed to catch up on. I was always half there, half somewhere else, sitting on the floor with a toy in my hand while my mind replayed conversations from work. At the time, it didn't feel like absence. It felt like multitasking, like balance. Success crept up quietly. A better title, a bigger paycheck, a house that felt impressive when people visited. I noticed people listened to me more. I noticed my opinions started to carry weight. That felt good. I won't pretend it didn't. But presence is fragile. It doesn't survive being postponed. There were school events I meant to attend and didn't. Birthdays where I showed up late and left early. Conversations that started with, "Can we talk?" and ended with, "Never mind." I didn't think those moments mattered much on their own. I thought what mattered was the overall picture, providing stability, security. The cost didn't come all at once. It came in the tone of my wife's voice changing, less expectation, more resignation. It came in my kids stopping asking if I'd be home for dinner and just assuming I wouldn't. I noticed it, but I didn't stop. I told myself this was a season, that things would slow down later. Later is a dangerous word. It sounds patient. It sounds harmless. It waits quietly while everything important slips past you. In my 40s, I reached what I'd once imagined as the finish line. I was respected, financially comfortable, busy all the time. People called me dependable, driven. At home, I was tired. My wife and I started talking less, not arguing, just less. Silence filled the spaces where conversations used to be. I thought that was normal. Long marriages settle, I told myself. They quiet down. But what I didn't understand then is that silence can be a form of leaving. I remember one night, coming home later than usual. The house was dark. Everyone was asleep. There was a note on the counter from my wife reminding me about a school meeting the next morning. I read it, sighed, and put it down. I didn't go to the meeting. I don't remember what I did instead. That's the part that hurts now. The things I missed are clear. The things I chose instead have faded. The slow cost showed up in small ways. My kids stopped sharing things with me. I learned about their lives secondhand through stories my wife told. I nodded, I said the right things, but I wasn't woven into their days. By the time I noticed how distant we'd become, I didn't know how to fix it. It felt awkward to suddenly ask questions I should have been asking all along. Work kept rewarding me. Home kept moving on without me. The turning point didn't come with fireworks. It came with a phone call. My wife was sick. Not the kind of sick you brush off, the kind that rearranges everything. I sat in hospital rooms that smelled of disinfectant and regret. I held her hand and realized how much of her life I hadn't really witnessed, how many quiet battles she'd fought alone while I was busy proving myself to people who would replace me in a week if I left. She never accused me. That almost made it worse.
She passed away before we could have all the conversations I thought we'd have someday. There was no someday left. After the funeral, the house felt enormous. Not because it was big, but because it was empty of the person who had been holding it together. I tried calling my kids more. They answered, but the calls felt careful, polite. I had become someone they respected but didn't reach for. That realization settles in your bones. It doesn't shout, it sinks. Retirement came not long after. I thought it would feel like relief, like I'd finally arrived at the part where I could enjoy what I'd built. But when the work stopped, there was nothing waiting to take its place. The days stretched. The phone stayed quiet. I realized how much of my identity had been tied to being needed professionally. Once that was gone, I didn't know who I was to the people who mattered most. There are things that can't be fixed. Time doesn't negotiate. Relationships don't reset just because you're finally ready to show up. I can't go back and sit at those dinners. I can't attend those school events. I can't have the long, meandering conversations with my wife that I kept assuming would happen later. What's gone is gone. I still see my kids. We're not estranged, but there's a distance that feels permanent now. They have their own lives, their own routines. I'm part of it, but I'm not central. That's the quiet consequence of being absent for too long. People learn how to live without you. If you're listening to this and you're younger than me, I won't tell you what to do. I don't believe in advice given from a place of superiority. I can only tell you what I wish I'd understood. Success doesn't warn you when it's asking for too much. It praises you while it takes. It tells you you're doing the right thing, while the important parts of your life grow used to your absence. Being present doesn't announce itself as urgent. It doesn't come with deadlines or applause. It's easy to postpone because it feels like it'll always be available. It isn't. Presence is made of ordinary moments, sitting without distraction, listening without fixing, being there even when it's inconvenient or boring or uncomfortable. I thought I was building a future. In many ways I was, but I neglected the present, and the present is the only place relationships actually live. Now, at 75, I move slower. I notice things I used to rush past, light through the window, the sound of birds in the morning. I would trade every achievement I have for a few more ordinary days done differently. I'm not bitter, just clear. If this story feels familiar, if it stirred something uncomfortable, you don't have to act dramatically. You don't have to change your whole life overnight. Just notice where you are while you're there. That's something I wish I'd understood before time started running out. I don't have many grand plans left, just mornings, just conversations when they come, just honesty. This is me being present now, as best as I can, telling you the truth I waited too long to tell. If this meant something to you, I'm glad. That's enough for me. I'll sit here a little longer. The quiet doesn't scare me anymore. It just reminds me to pay attention while I still can.